Amsterdam. While looking for a place to stay in Amsterdam, I received many fraud emails from people who don't live in Holland, but they claim to have property and they are willing to rent it to me as long as I transfer to them some money. These emails, besides the phony aspect, they do have very high artistic value due to their poetic content, their inconsistent descriptions, the overwhelmingly long and repetitive sentences, and the general atmosphere which is provided from these highly generic descriptions. I collected some of these emails to include them in a book. In this book, I treat these emails as a piece of literature. I received two emails from two different people, one from Nelson Oliver and another one from Oliver Nelson. Therefore, the book is called Nelson Oliver, Oliver Nelson. Some emails had attached images, which are on display on this book. This kind of phenomena is a byproduct of a complex housing situation, which can be found in some countries, especially in the Netherlands. I even received exactly the same pictures from three different people. I was informed about Cadastre, a governmental service which keeps up records about property ownership. I was not surprised when I discovered that I received three emails from three different people, all claiming that they have a flat in the same address. According to Cadastre, there are only two flats in this address. The question that needs to be asked is, how is such a thing happening? Netherlands is not a country with lack of talent in finding creative solutions to complex problems. I'm starting to think that this problem is maybe there to serve a reason. Before coming to Amsterdam, I was not responsible about this situation, but now that I'm here, I am forced to deal with it. I became part of it. In a certain aspect, it looks like politics. Some people define politics as a situation in which you have no control in a matter which has to do directly with you. My next project is trying to deal about that, a book about politics. With this book, I take a look in the European politics. Different political systems, charts, numbers, ideologies are displayed in the book. With this book, I try to raise questions instead of providing answers. My personal statement can be found in a textual form. I did an extensive research about each EU country and I extracted this research into the book. I looked in what type of governance there is in the European Union, what parties are governing, what logos the parties do have, and a bunch of other stuff. By flipping the book, we can understand how the European countries are politically organized and also make comparisons. The first question is this European equality? Democracy is supposed to be equal opportunities for all, but in the EU we certainly do not have a pan-European democracy. This means that some people have more freedom than others. The freedom we enjoy in Europe varies from country to country. Sure, we can try to make the world better by voting the party that represents the ideology that we think is the best. But I think that politics shouldn't be about what party are we voting for. I think that politics should be about our freedom and liberties. Stepping back and looking what work I do, it's mostly about data collections. I index and organize information. The content of my books is collections of data. While trying to understand the meaning of this, why do I do this? I became aware of a project that would make my life a lot easier. I would simply do what I have always been doing, making a book with organized data. I have been receiving medication since 99, and every year I have to do at least one or two health checks to check that I am not becoming immune to my medication, and also to look out for any possible side effects. Doctors need to have access to my medical records to provide a valid diagnosis. Without these records, the doctors could read a single blood test and determine that my health is fine, whereas in comparison with the previous records, the diagnosis could be very different. Different bodies react differently to medications, and these extensive medical records somehow show how my body is reacting and how well it's performing to this medication. The most obvious problem which has occurred the last 5 years that I live abroad is that doctors don't have access to this data. The second obvious problem was that all these records were in Greek, and therefore, even if a doctor had access to them, he or she would have to understand Greek. The third obvious problem has to do with some elements which doctors always look for Wilson disease patients. For an overview of these elements, the doctors would have to flip many pages, many times, scanning for this record, from the beginning of my medication till now, and that always takes a lot of time, in every single visit that I pay to the doctor. All my records for these elements from the past 11 years can be accessed in only 6 pages. In case of an emergency in which I have to visit the doctor, I need to inform about my health situation, as well as what medication I receive. Even in the case that my visit is completely unrelated with what this book is about, the doctors still need to know about my medical history in order to provide health care and health assistance which is suitable for me. By putting all these records in a book, I carry a personal Bible, survival guide, which can even save my life in the worst case scenario that the doctor would prescribe to me a medicine which is incompatible with my therapy. By handing over this book to the doctor, I receive more than what I give to the doctor. I had difficulties showing this project here, because with this project I admit publicly that I have a health issue. While discussing about my troubling with my teacher Rob Schroeder, Rob told me,
"This isn't about you being sick. This is about design use for medical purposes. It is about organizing this collection of data, just like the other books. But the difference is that this data has to do with far more pragmatic users than the other books. This book is not about making a comment or generating discussion. It is about a collection of data that really matters."
while talking with my doctor about this project, the doctor didn't hide his fascination about it. He admitted that in that aspect, he could never think that graphic design could change the quality of medical services. He told me that in his imaginary ideal world, all patients worldwide with health issues in which medical history does matter have their own book with their own records printed on demand directly from their hospital. At this point, I have to admit that if I wasn't studying here in the Netherlands at the Sandberg Institute, I wouldn't have been to the point of making this book. The idea is so simple and so obvious, but it didn't occur to me until I was making the other books.